As you know, and as you've seen already, Comet ISON broke apart, fragmented at Perhelion. But keep an eye on it. There's something really interesting with the pattern of the way it's flying by and going to pass the North Pole, especially if you take a look at Stellarium. Go to the last weeks of December, and if you press play and fast forward a little bit, you'll notice that ISON has a particular pattern in the sky revolving around Polaris, the North Star. If you were from the ground, it would appear as if that debris field or whatever it is now would spin in the sky in the exact same spot for several weeks. Taking into account that it is a fragmented cometary body, the Chinese divided their sky into 5 great regions. They're called gong. Now these are equated with the north, south, east, and west directions. The middle direction is the North Star itself. That is the throne of the emperor, the house of the emperor. The other cardinal directions, if you will, if you have this star map that I have on the screen in front of you, you actually need to cut that out and turn it upwards so you're looking at the sky where the throne of the emperor covers the North Star. Now you're going to notice the black tortoise, it's called Xuan, and the blue dragon is termed as Qing, and the red bird is Juque. And when we see on the what would be considered the right, the Baihu, the white tiger. All of these regions have a different effect on the Earth depending on where the comet transits through that star map. The Chinese are shitting themselves. The central government is actually probably terrified that this cometary fragment body or the comet itself or whatever's left, the pieces are going to circle through the throne of the emperor. And for 5,000 years, when it sits in the house of the throne, whenever comets reside in a house, specifically the throne of the emperor, the imperial court changes, leadership changes, overseership changes. They know what the sky map is about right now. And this brings me right to the legend of Houyi. In previous times, it's a mythological Chinese archer. This story was supposedly started around 2170 BC when there were 10 suns that appeared in the sky. The Earth became incredibly hot, and the king looked for a solution to this, and a nobleman came down, took out his bow and arrow, and shot 9 suns with 9 arrows. That was definitely a commentary fragment. It's just related in a different way. You know, they didn't have SDO telescope or SOHO to take a look up into the skies and, throw the internet and explain it to everybody. Legends and myth and passed down stories were the way they did it. Now, the tapestry that you see from the Western Han Dynasty shows the 9 suns in the right corner. You'll always see Houyi depicted as shooting his arrow at bird-like creatures or whatever they are in the sky. It's always something that's bird-like. And if we take a look through quickly here in the middle of November, the Earth-based as well as the space-based telescopes, take a look at these. They look remarkably similar to a bird. Does this have something to do with what they saw first that created the fragments that needed to be shot down? If it is, then we are going to see something incredible coming up around Christmas time. Chinese have been studying comets for around 3,500 years. There's something you might want to take a look at called the Mawangdui silk. And it was created around circa 300 BC, but the actual record keeping for the different comets that they have in their collection and archives of visual sightings through the heavens began about 3,500 years ago. ISON did fragment in its transit around the sun. This next set of images is from Jesse over at BP Earthwatch. I appreciate your videos that I watch all the time. There's detailed analysis on what they look like. What's the inner coma? What's inside there now? What do those fragments look like? He does a great job at bringing these out with different color changes. These 4 are exactly what's in there now. If these do start to spread out in a shotgun pattern, these things will start to resemble what you saw with Shumaker-Levy 9 back in 1994 when it screamed through the sky out near Jupiter. But take a look at how that could easily be interpreted as a myth or a legend. If you were to see that in the sky, how would you describe that if we had no internet? That would be Houyi shooting something like that out of the sky. So the legend of Houyi always flows back to the commentary fragments. I really believe it's a fragment event that was described in the heavens. Now this is interesting. At the exact same time, when we start talking about the birth of Christ 2,000 years ago, notice that the stellarium also shows that same star body, ISON, revolving around Polaris. Now, if these 3 wise men were following a star, I guarantee it was no planetary conjunction when Jupiter lined up with Saturn with Mars. Those are three tiny little dots in the sky that are moving. They're not stationary for weeks or months at a time. Right in December, I can't believe the timing on it, December 26th is when this will kick off, and it'll start to spin and stay in the sky for weeks in the exact same place. Now, if it's cometary bodies, and we're looking at something like Shumaker-Levy with 24 different separate comets coming through in the same spot in the sky for 3 weeks, that's going to be special, and people would definitely follow that. And it's not going to be just some tiny little Jupiter alignment with Saturn or whatever they said that it was back many millennia ago. It was something very special in the sky. These people were more in tune with their natural surroundings than we will ever be, unless you live and you take that kind of lifestyle. For us to judge them and say, oh, they were just talking about planets or whatnot is actually kind of demeaning. They were far greater in tune with our natural environment than we are. So I believe their stories more than our own right now. So keep your eyes on Comet ISON. I think there's two ancient myths and stories about to collide at the same time in the heavens above us, beginning November 26th, that we will witness. It's going to be an exciting time. Thanks for watching.